May we request everyone to remain standing for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem, to be followed by an invocation. Please remain standing for the invocation. O loving and gracious Creator, you embrace with your tenderness all that exists. Pour out upon us the power of your love, that we may protect life and the environment which you graciously gave us. Fill us with peace and bring healing to our lives, that we may protect the world and not prey on it, that we may sow beauty, not destruction. Teach us to discover the worth of your creation, to be filled with awe and contemplation, to recognize that we are profoundly united with every creature as we journey towards your infinite light. We thank you for being with us each day. Loving God, teach us to contemplate you in the beauty of the universe, for all things speak of you. Awaken our praise and thankfulness for every being that you have made. Give us the grace to feel profoundly joined to everything that is. Enlighten us so that we may avoid the sin of indifference, that we may love the common good and care for this world in which we live. O Lord, seize us with your power and light. Help us to protect all life. Grant us the wisdom and grace to be faithful stewards of your creation. Amen. Thank you. We may now be seated. To officially welcome us to the 2022 Multi-Stakeholder Forum, we would like to call Environment and Natural Resources Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga to deliver her opening remarks.
Good morning. His Excellency Ferdinand Marcos Jr., distinguished speakers, honorable guests, and DENR partners. Our sincerest thanks for taking the time to join us in this first multi-stakeholder dialogue of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. The President declared in his State of the Nation that the preservation of the environment is the preservation of life. Indeed, ecosystems are the life support of our nation. They are the source of water that sustain us, the forests that shelter us and nourish us, and the energy sources and minerals that move and power our lives. The department's role is to build the lifelines to these resources on land and in the sea and air that will ensure inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development. In order to do this, we will need to work with partners such as yourselves to develop integrated strategies for a science-based, risk-informed, ethical, and equitable stewardship of our environments. Given the abundance of our natural resources as a country, however, the Philippines has once again topped the list of countries most at risk to disasters, according to the World Risk Report of 2022. Among the critical elements considered that require greater attention is the vulnerability of our environments, ecosystems, and our people. Today marks the first in a series of stakeholder consultations across different sectors. Over these next few days, you will hear from many thought leaders, business personalities, investors, experts in practice, international development partners, civil society organizations and advocates, and academia. After this, the DENR will continue to listen through a series of focused follow-up consultations with the different sectors and communities served by each bureau and our field operations. It is our hope that our conversations, the planned National Natural Resources Geospatial Database, a new Experts Advisory Council for the department, and an organizational review will ensure that our people, processes, and products will result in synergies that will transform our department into one that is fit for its complex purpose. One such synergy will begin today with the signing of an agreement with the Department of Labor and Employment that was conceptualized by Secretary Benvenido Laguesma. This agreement will accelerate the creation of green jobs in the forest sector, where they are needed the most. On our drawing board are the roadmap for water security, the scaling up and networking of capabilities for environmental observation, monitoring, and analytics, the integrated development of mangrove forests in marine protected areas, and contributions to a climate-resilient and sustainable tourism plan. With your support and under our new leadership, the DENR looks forward to charting the course towards achieving climate and disaster-resilient, inclusive, green and blue recovery for our nation. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone a substantive and fruitful 3 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Yulo Loizaga. At this point, we would like to invite the President, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., to witness the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement between the DENR and DOLE, represented by the respective secretaries. The MOA covers the implementation of DOLE's Tulong Panghanapbuhay sa ating disadvantaged or displaced workers, TUPAD program, in identified areas in DENR's improved National Forest Protection Program. May we request the President, Secretary Loizaga, and Secretary Laguesma to stay on stage to present the signed MOA for a photo opportunity. Thank you very much, Mr. President and Secretaries. Thank you again, Mr. President and Secretaries. You may now be seated. At this juncture, may we call on Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga of the DENR to introduce our guest of honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Thank you very much to the Secretary of DENR, Maritoni. I'm sorry, I'm using your nickname. That is what we used to call her when we were children. Yulo Loizaga, for your kind introduction. Please take your seat. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Speaker Martin Romualdez. Lakas ng palakpak din sa mga congressman. Siguro may linalakad pa kayo. Tapos na yung budget. The Secretary of Labor and Employment, Benny Laguesma. Senator Cynthia Villar, the Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, other members of the Cabinet, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a pleasure to join all of you today in this, the first DENR Multistakeholder Forum. It is an important initiative because, as we all know, the issue of climate change is no longer the issue of the day, it is the issue of our times. And because of that, it requires the help, the assistance, the understanding of all of the citizens of the Philippines and, for that matter, of the world. I have described the global change crisis and the climate change effects on the countries around the world as the first truly global crisis that we have had to face. And I describe it as such for the simple reason that every single citizen of the world is affected by climate change. And it will take the assistance, the help, the understanding of every citizen of the world to mitigate and to adapt to climate change. I have always believed that there is no greater shared responsibility than the care of our environment. I'm elated to see that our country's big movers and shakers from the private sector, from the NGOs, the academe, and amongst others, and I would like to add to that list our friends and partners from in the different countries around the world who have already come to us and made offers of assistance in terms of the vulnerability of the Philippines to the effects of climate change. It is very important that this coming together to discuss measures to protect, to conserve, and to manage our precious environment be conducted. Your presence here gives the entire nation hope that we not only have the expertise, but also the commitment, the determination to steer our practices and systems towards a greener direction. I look forward to seeing the activities ahead generate fruitful discussions that will harmonize the policy agenda of the DENR under this administration and together with our private sector partners, with all the agencies in government. And once again, it requires the help and the assistance, the understanding, and the commitment of every single sector of every single society. Along with the outcomes of this forum, I expect that we will be able to accelerate the DENR's mission of mobilizing our capacities and resources to preserve, conserve, and manage our environment. I also expect this forum to lay down a strategic direction to maximize the use of the country's natural wealth and to promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth. I'm confident we will be able to have these dialogues amongst all stakeholders. And in that dialogue, let us identify each sector's unique and shared challenges, bolster cooperation, and gather information on priorities for possible inclusion in the DENR's policy agenda and to be included in the multi-year roadmap for programs, activities, and projects. Moreover, we hope that participants will maximize this opportunity to share the knowledge and experience on how different stakeholders can collaborate with the DENR and other national government agencies in crafting and implementing policies and programs towards climate, disaster resilience, and sustainable development. I commend the DENR and our good secretary for spearheading this event, for taking this initiative of the inclusive discussions to include all of the different stakeholders and to listen to the concerns and the opportunities that all our stakeholders can provide. I know it's only a beginning of a challenging but most important task of protecting the only earth and home that we know. As your president, I assure you that our environment and our country's resiliency and adaptation to the new normals of climate change are on top of the national agenda. We ensure that the initiatives we will take will enable us to become smarter, more responsible, more sustainable in all that we do. The road ahead will be long and it will be tough, but we must stay strong and accept that it will be a battle that we all must wage, and even more importantly, it's a battle that we must win. In this collective fight, we are not soldiers, we are stewards. There will be no weapons to use, only behaviors and practices to improve upon. Victory will not come by defeating a visible enemy. It will come in certain moments when we can see that we are gradually averting a global crisis, that we have attended to the difficulties that our people will face because of the onset of climate change. And triumphant will we be when we realize that our children will have clean air to breathe, safe water to drink, and lands and oceans not only to explore, but also to responsibly harness for their sake and for the good of all Filipinos and for all humanity. May this three-day forum bring about substantial outcomes that will focus on enriching not only our natural resources, but our country's national wealth. More importantly, I wish this event to be an opportunity for the government and private partners to actively collaborate in translating an integrated and multi-stakeholder resiliency framework into actions that will sustain the growth of this sector. So let us join our efforts. I'm certain we will pass on to our children a country and a world that are in a much better state than they came upon. We are only custodians of this beautiful planet that we live on. Let us take that responsibility seriously for many generations that will still follow. Thank you very much. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Before we end this opening ceremony, may we request a photo opportunity with the President and the participants in the following order. For the first batch, may we request the plenary speakers to go on stage and join the President and the rest of the stage party. Thank you very much. For our second batch, may we request members of the Senate and members of Congress to proceed on stage. Okay, thank you very much. May we request the ambassadors to please proceed on stage for the third batch. Thank you very much. May we request representatives of the international organizations present to please proceed on stage.